Sally Rideout. I'm a government affairs specialist for the Southwest Indiana Chamber. Tara Barney's with us today, President and CEO of the Southwest Indiana Chamber. And we're pleased to be joined by Steve Foles, who is the Democrat candidate for House District number 76. So thank you for joining us today, Steve. And I'll turn the conversation over to Tara to get started.
And I will follow Cy by saying we so appreciate you standing up and running for office. It's not for the faint of heart. But I want to start off with a question that's been a priority of this region for quite a while. We are trying to build a bridge across the Ohio River, and we are close to a record of decision. It's a little stalled right now in sorting out the fate of the two existing bridges, the US 41 bridges. And we'd love to know how you might be able to support this initiative and how you can help with the community's plan and the important priority we think of keeping both those bridges.
I have been to some of those meetings. I think that highway is very important, not only for Indiana, but really the rest of the country. And as far as the routing of it and the private partnering agreements between companies and the state and the federal, I'm 100% behind that. And matter of fact, the organization that I retired from, I think they're even involved in getting involved in this. It's a great infrastructure plan, and we do need it to go on.
Well, thank you. We appreciate that. And we appreciate your comments. And we appreciate the fact you've been coming to the meetings because it certainly is an important regional priority. I'd like to switch to another one that's kind of come out of COVID. So the federal government declined to take any action on protecting businesses from liability issues that have come out of the pandemic. And so it seems like that's going to fall to the state government to address. We'd like to, and some states have already taken action on providing liability for businesses. We'd love to have your view on the issue and your thoughts on how you would play a role in supporting legislation on this topic.
And I too have been watching the corona, and we are homebound, and I have grandchildren that live with me, so I have children in school on top of it, and so we are concerned. One, I think our state government has fell short of acting quick enough, and then it's too little too late. The federal government is giving conflicting information than what our local governments and state government is giving. But we do need to make serious decisions, and however we get it done, people need to social distance and mask up. As far as liabilities, that's a difficult question because an employee comes to work and then they get sick at work. Does that fall under the workman's comp? That's a hard decision to try to overcome, and I understand the concerns of a business. You know, I worked for our organization for many years, but I also used to have a company. I did construction, building houses and renovations, so I know the value of being responsible for your employees while also trying to turn out a product. You know, to just sit here and say you're not liable for somebody getting sick or injured on a job, you know, are all actions taken to prevent those needs to be the first thing. And, you know, I honestly think we can control this thing if we start with government from federal to state to local, getting serious about the social distancing. We can still go out, we can still do things, but we have to control ourselves while we're doing this. So I'm going to have to leave it. I'm open for further discussion to help fix this. So that's where I'm at on that issue.
Well, thank you. And that we just really want to know your opinions and thoughts because it's one of those things that's going to evolve this session, we hope. I want to ask you the inevitable budget question now. because the pandemic has certainly put a strain on the state's budgets and local budgets. And this will be a budget session. So we'd love to know what things you are most interested in protecting with these reduced resources, and where you think some opportunities might be to find some savings.
We need to make sure that our companies stay in business. And I'm talking mom and pop businesses all the way into our industrial businesses and beyond. That's important to keep our people or the citizens working and try to keep families operating comfortably. So we have to look for the funds for that. In addition to, we need to take care of our schools too. The school funding in our communities, that's as important as our businesses and industrial businesses, to make sure that we're funding our schools, properly funding them. And their cost is up as a result of the same pandemic. So we have to dig deep to find the money. You know, I know there were some, which is nowhere near enough for that, but some of the betting sources that's going on, the horse and the on land-based casinos, there's a lot of funding still comes in from that. We need to be using that as money to help take care of those. Another thing, and going back to the infrastructure, we have projects here that we can be doing. If we can get state, federal funding and private partner funding to start some of these jobs that we need, that can build revenue in coming back and helping some of our mom and pop businesses and our industrial businesses to continue growing. So there are a lot of avenues that we can do and things to kickstart. We just need to scratch to find the funds, and any non-essential funds that we can pull from other things, we need to be doing that to keep Indiana running.
Well, thank you. Some of your comments kind of kickstarted my thinking on the next thing I'd like to ask you about, and that is about basically educational attainment. We know that for Southwest Indiana to grow, our citizens are going to need to compete in a global economy. And to do that, we need increased high school graduation rates. We're doing pretty well. We can do better. And we need more of our students seeking the next credential, whether that's college or something else.
Yes.
If you had thoughts on the education and workforce programs that are out there, what changes would you want to make or keep, either one, to help us advance this goal?
This is part of my platform also, is properly funding our public schools. But with that said, where I came from, the job that I retired from, was a member of the laborers for 42 years. I worked as the treasurer and for my local union for 10 years and 17 years for our international. But most of my duties were in recruiting, working between labor and management, and we find out what does the companies that work with us need in skills, and my job was to help recruit and help get the training so they would have the skills to service those companies. With that said, I believe that our public schools need to do more in vocational, and you know, our teachers are on the front line. They can see who is going to college and who is looking for a job right out of high school. And we need to be preparing these individuals for jobs that can put them to work and send them into a technical college while they're working. And it's no different than an apprenticeship program that I'm used to operating from. When our members come in, most of them don't have any skills. And there's some that we even help get GED so they can become part of us. And then we build from them, and they make good livings for their families. So I am well cued on that. I would love to help our school system operate in a similar manner, and it's better for our companies, and it's attractive for more industry to move into our area.
Well, thank you for that. I think that's good information for our constituents and your potential voters to have. I don't want to lose time for you to just take a few minutes on what your main issues are, why you chose to run, and what you really want to get behind in the upcoming session.
Drug abuse is one of my motivating factors, and I've had some of those issues in my own family. Like I said, I am raising my grandchildren, and there was no help out there. And for me to defend my grandchildren and keep them out of harm's way took me 2.5 years and $55,000. And I couldn't sit and wait for social services to come. They came multiple times, but there's no problems when they walk in. So my goal is to address the drug abuse. And we're rated #1 in the country for drug abuse, and we're rated #2 for child abuse. We can do better than that. We have declined over the last 10 years to this. It was rated 14 2.5 years ago. And we can do better. But you can't just say we're going to fix these things. You have to have a plan. I have helped workers get off of drugs and alcohol and help them to be rehabilitated and put back into the workforce and turn out to be very good. It's not 100%, but at least we're helping. We need to stop the rotating of our jails, the rotating door in our jails where they're arresting the same reoffenders and letting them back on the street. We need to get them the help to get them off of the drugs. When you address the drug problems, you're addressing the child abuse problems. All of that stuff goes in hand. And we have to help those people get the help they need to make them productive citizens. I don't see defunding the police departments. I see getting them additional help from our social workers, getting them professional work from our social workers so they can help the offenders and their families.
Well, thank you. We sure appreciate that. And we very much appreciate your time and the chance to share your thinking and your platform with the community. So we do plan to put this out on our website, socialize it, and make sure that in this tricky time of COVID, when you can't be out, engaging in traditional campaign activities, hopefully this will help to communicate your priorities.
I appreciate that. And it's a difficult campaigning in this season. I don't mind telling you.
I have no doubt. Sally, anything else we should be covering with Mr. Foltz?
No, I think we've covered a lot of topics. It's been a good discussion, and really, again, appreciate your willingness to put your name on the ballot, willingness to serve, and spend time with us today talking about these issues. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.